Welcome back to the Iron Insight. Thank you for starting your week off right with the Iron Insight every Monday morning at 4 a.m. I'm Bryn Welds,
And I'm Andrew Nichols.
and
And I'm
today
like,
we're sitting down with Wyatt Hanson. How's it going, Wyatt?
good. How about you guys?
Oh, we're doing all right. Can't complain. I mean, we got like the world's greatest welder on the podcast with us right now, so that's kind of cool.
I don't know about that, almost.
Well, what'd you place? What'd you place worldwide? Tell us.
So I got the bronze in the 2024 Leon World Skills Competition here a couple weeks ago. So
And and
That's insane. Just let that sink in. That's insane.
you had an American flag bandana, didn't you?
oh yeah, dude, you gotta rock the flags, man. You gotta be patriotic.
That's
Kinda
awesome.
weird doing it, but it was totally worth it.
What was the placement?
So Korea took first, China took second, and then I tied with third, with Australia and Canada. And
Oh
then I'm
wow.
not sure after that, but the way the scoring system works, you can like technically have ties like that. So you could have like a couple first place winners. It all depends on where you score at in the scoring system.
Right, because it's not like comparing you versus this guy. It's only counting your points per vessel, right?
Yeah, so it's counting basically it's you against the score system is what they say. There is still a little bit of that. Where does everybody else score will kind of also affect where you land on that on the just to earn the scoring. I don't know what you'd call it, but where you land, where you score will land you either gold, silver, or bronze, or medal of excellence. And it all depends on their equation they have to calculate where you end up. It's complicated. I don't really understand how it all works, but
And who gets to judge those?
so all basically every competitor from all around the world, they get from every country they get a you have the competitor and then you have an expert. So you're basically like a team, a little team or whatever. So you have your competitor that competes, right? And then your expert helps train you, and he or she knows the competition inside and out. And they're a part of your training process the whole step of the way. And then they're part of the world skills competition because they actually are the ones that go in and grade it. So you'll have all these competitors, they'll go compete or whatever, and then to keep it fair, what they do is they take your expert and they put the expert in and they judge and grade and evaluate the whole entire competition. So you have that, I don't know what you call it, but you're not going to have as much cheating and you're not going to have as much like favoritism showed because I've got a competitor in here. I'm not going to screw that competitor over so they don't screw my competitor over, vice versa. Like, we're going to keep this fair so it's fair for my competitor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like what is not allowed? Like at the state level, we weren't allowed. I'm pretty sure a grinder.
Nope, no
Or
grinders. Nothing like no power tools. I mean, they were pretty specific.
Um, Basically, we had a thing saying we could use a 300C to the best of its like abilities. Like we could use it however we wanted. We could use grinders. We could use there's a it's called the technical description. So it tells you what you can and can't do. Some of the things that I couldn't do is I couldn't purge my aluminum. I couldn't use chill blocks. I couldn't like brush my stainless. I couldn't brush my aluminum after I welded it. I couldn't have any grinding marks on anything. I couldn't have like stray grinding marks. I couldn't like there's such. I'd have to pull it up and name stuff off, but there was so many weird things that you would think that we wouldn't be able to do that we were able to do, and then stuff that you thought like would make sense to do, but we couldn't do, like the chill blocks for the aluminum and stainless projects. But it's all they're there to test you to see if you can pull like almost the impossible off in that competition. Like, it is absolutely insane what we were trying to do.
yeah, and something like if I lay a shitty bead, I might wash back over it. Like what what if somebody did that during that competition? Would that be a disqualification or
Oh yeah, yeah. You would
yeah?
immediately go from like there was a competitor. I don't exactly remember what year he competed. He was I think he was Chinese competitor. Um, 8 or 10 years back, he actually went back over. I want to say it was stainless weld. He had a stainless corner joint, and he went back over it because he didn't get his radius points or something. He went back over it, and they actually caught him doing. They didn't catch him in the act, but they were able to look inside the project. So you have your corner joint. They were able to look in where the penetration was at. They could see the first melted bead, and then they could see a little bit more melted in between it. So it had two beads, and they were like he was literally in first place and dropped down like clear off the podium,
Jeez.
just from one weld.
Damn. And on your, those weren't your actually like your actual world skills tested vessels that you brought to FabTech, right?
Oh no.
Yeah.
So those ones were the ones I did. I want to say I did one or a couple more sets after that, but those are some of my better, some decent sets that I had right before I went. The ones that I did at Worlds are still, I'm not quite sure where they're at. Last time I heard they were on a boat getting shipped back over with all the Lincoln stuff. Which I know that was those projects that I brought, they were actually a little bit worse than what I had done at Worlds. It's kind of cool. I was able
Damn,
to do almost my best work, if not my best work at Worlds. So
that's sweet. What out of the disqualify like stuff that you can't use, banned items, banned procedures, what would have given you, you think, the biggest advantage? Would it have been those chill blocks on your stainless?
I think I think if you would have had like a way to cool your stainless and aluminum projects, they would have turned out a lot better. But like I said, they're looking for like minimal warpage. They're looking for, heat control. They're looking like you can't brush your stainless because they want to see all the colors. So you got to be able to control your heat. Another one, I wish we had more time. Like I wish we had more time to do that whole entire competition because they could really, with a couple more hours of time in that competition, you could lay some freaking dimes, man. Like, yeah, you would be able to control the pressure and all your nerves a lot better, having a little more time, and then everybody would have done a lot better, I think. But I was actually like pushed for time so bad because I spent a lot of time the very first day on module one, which they're all test plates. You have a 10 mil plate that's 10 inches long, which it's basically a 3/8 thick plate with a V groove, and the bevels are at 30 degrees. You have a 16 mil, which is roughly about 5/8 plate, 10 inches tall. Same bevel angle. Then you have two T joints that are half inch. They're 12 millimeter, but for US, it's about a half an inch. The T joints, they get offset, so you'll have your bottom plate, and they'll offset your top plate so they can do bend or do brake tests. And then you have a 4-inch Schedule 80 pipe. And that's like all the Module 1 stuff or whatever. Anyways, I spent a ton of time, like a couple extra hours, trying to make sure everything was gonna like bend and break and X-ray clean. I got super back, like far back on time, dude, and I was like, by the end of day one, I was getting very, very nervous because I was gonna have to haul butt the next 2 days to make it up. Which somehow I like strategically like cut out some steps that I always did them, but I didn't really have to. So I skipped a few steps, which I don't think I lost any points from it, but I got my vessel all done in like, that's the fastest I've ever got a vessel done in like 8 hours, like one of them, that good. Like as good as it looked in 8 hours, like that was insane. Like I was hauling butt. Or not 8 or 9 hours.
8 hours of just welding,
Yeah,
like just under the hood getting
cleaning,
after it.
yeah, you're cleaning, tacking up for the first hour, and once like I had that I had that sucker tacked up, clean and tacked up in like 45 minutes. It normally takes me like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
45 minutes, and then I had that freaking thing welded out and started on my aluminum project the day or for like 15, 20 minutes at the end of the day.
And you guys use 040 wire, right? Which I thought was kind of weird until you said 040 is 1 millimeter, right?
Yeah, so everything is you can use US domestic stuff, but all the sizes, the measuring system is all in metric over there. So they have some interesting rules in the competition. So everything on all the competitions, everything is metric. Everything is in English. Um, there's a couple other weird ones, but they have all these standards they go by. So we have to convert as we're from the
Yeah.
US or whatever. We have to convert everything over, or we have to ship material over, or I actually played around with some of their fancy stick, or they're not really fancy stick rods, but they're different blend of stick rod. Like Conarc, I played with some Conarc. They have some, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but they had some European versions of like what we got. That stuff runs way different, dude. It's kind of cool. The different, going around traveling around the world and seeing all that stuff, man, and seeing what's actually out there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought of that unless you said that, like different stick rods and stuff. Did you think they were better?
It depended on the minute and what I was doing. Some of it, I did that little circle
Mm-hmm.
on the front of my vessel or whatever. I did it with some, I want to say it's Conarc. Uh, I don't exactly remember the numbers. It was something 51. So it ran similar to like 7018, but it had the arc characteristics of like 7016 and 7018. Like it was like 1 minute it was running like super choppy, and the next minute it was smoothing out. Like I don't know, it was weird, but it laid it down better than 7018, dude. Like it laid it in so nice. No undercut, nothing, just buttery smooth.
And so one thing, like this was a big problem because at the state level for us in Nebraska, you had to weld everything in position. And did it specify that? Like, okay, so this 1 year where we competed, the kid that was in our school that we expected to win solos, Braden Weller, he welded it in position because that's how we had been practicing for it, right? But it didn't specify, so every other kid welded it out of position. And I feel like he probably would have won. He was pretty slick as a high schooler at the time, but yeah, that's crazy that they get that specific. What did you think was the hardest process, like for you?
I think it kind of depended on the day, but trying to think. I think my flux core, I've never really cared for flux core necessarily, but I've always kind of struggled with it. I could never really get it. Like you don't like it's such a weird acting puddle. It's so liquidy. It's hard to really manipulate. And I used to really not like it at all. And then I learned. Actually went out to Missouri with my expert Ray Conley, and we sat down, and that's like all we did was just play around with flux core and just trying to fine tune some settings that ran. We got it to run. It was a little bit cold, a little bit choppy. Like the arc characteristics were a little bit choppy, but man, did it lay down some freaking dimes, man. Like it super laid. The material laid exactly where you wanted it. Doing the V grooves, or the corners, or whatever. You do your little patterns and stuff, and the material just stayed where you wanted it to, and it worked out so good. But
It's crazy to hear you say that you struggled with it because I know I saw your welds on the vessels,
Yeah.
and
Him struggling with it is us putting it under a magnifying glass. Like, oh yeah, there's fucking impurity there. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
yeah.
Struggled my ass.
Yeah. It just didn't ever do what I wanted it to do, I guess. until I figured it out. And that, like the one that you guys saw, that vessel you guys saw, like I had it kind of figured out by then. There were some other ones that were looked a little rough.
Was that 040 as well?
No, it was 045 or yeah, 045
Huh.
flux core wire. It was it's a weird composition of wire that it's not like your 75A85. It's like that Lincoln makes. It's different. I don't
Huh.
know. Maybe you guys use it or something, but it's.
No, I never run flux score.
Oh, you never run flux core?
I have, but no, I don't. Uh, what tungsten did you use on your stainless?
So I used 2% thoriated on my steel and my stainless steel project. So I used for the stainless steel little box, I used 16th tungsten. I used edge cups and some ferrite cups. I could go in a lot of depth on those cups. The art characteristics from both cups are different. It is crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So you have like your gas flow that changes, your envelope or your lamellar flow of argon will change, but then also like how stable your arc was and how it took the dabs and stuff. Like both of them have their strengths and their weaknesses. It was super cool to see.
And you had a custom one made by Edge, right?
No, I just had my favorite one that I used was a 23. It was a number 23 stubby. I used that on a lot of my on all the butt joints, and then I switched to a number 8, 18 stubby for my corner joints, and then I actually switched to a Furic, the BBW for all my base fillet welds, and then like basically all my fillet welds except on the pipes. I actually switched to I did it differently on like every project I did, trying to figure out which way worked best. But anywhere from like a number 8 cup, just a regular ceramic number 8 cup, clear up to um, the edge 12 or 12, I think is what I was using. I tried a few different patterns and different things on those little pipes. I ended up turning uh my pulses per second up to like maxed out on that Lincoln 300C, which is like 35.6 or something. Turn my
Damn.
background down all the way down, put my amperage at like 85, and then you just sit there with the 16th filler, and you just sit there and just weave it. You
Hmm.
scrub some lines in there, and then you just sit there and just weave it and blend it in.
You scribed lines in there for your toes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No
damn.
shit.
So it used to not be very common for the U.S. competitor to scribe the lines. Um, let's see, it was 6 or 7 years ago when Chandler Vincent competed. He was like one of the first competitors to actually scribe his lines. So everybody around the world, they have different ways of scribing their lines on the projects to get like the perfect. Because it doesn't say it in the technical description. It doesn't say like you cannot do that. Like you can literally do anything but what the technical description says you can't do. Like, so the sky's the limit for the most part, except a few little things. Um, but yeah, anyways, I had some parts laser cut out, some little like half moon shapes and stuff for like my pipes, and I'd either use a die grinder and I'd scribe my lines, or I'd take a sharp like carbide and I'd scratch into the aluminum and stainless and stuff. Because
Okay.
the tolerances are trying to hit, like back when I was competing in trials last till about like February, March, I didn't like scribe very many of my lines. And like I was actually, what was funny about it is I was like, yeah, I don't need to scribe lines or whatever. And I was like still hitting and scoring like my fillet weld points. It was pretty cool.
How like on the world during world skills, the competition itself, do you know how much arc time you had while competing?
Oh, like at the like at the competition.
Yeah.
So we trained from the old. we trained from the old competition rules and the time and everything. So they gave us Jordan's rotation and his competition or whatever. They were supposed to do 18 hours in Shanghai, China. With all the stuff that happened a couple years ago, the competition got canceled. Lincoln picked it up and they brought it here to the U.S. They had the 2022 special edition World Skills for Jordan. I believe they gave him 20 hours. They gave him 2 extra hours. But we ended up training back on like training and practicing against the 18 hours, which that's what we ended up doing. We had 18 hours to do all that stuff.
Gotcha.
But they change it like every rotation. They'll change stuff and they'll change their time zone or time frames and all that. But
Did you use all 18?
oh yeah, I was like I had like a couple minutes left after I got my stainless steel project, and I went and set it out and went and hung out with everybody for a minute.
God. So you were down. I mean, you were on the nuts. Barely had enough time. That's crazy.
Yeah, after strategically cutting out certain steps and hauling butt in other areas, like being very strategic to get my points and still make time. Where I got a little bit behind on the first day. Yeah, I was pretty nervous for like.
I bet. Now, when you were at the competition, did you see any welds where you just thought you have no business even being here? Like, was there any welds that you would think were egregiously bad?
Oh yeah, there was some that were pretty bad.
Really? So even on the world stage, you could still see some bad stuff.
Yeah, so you have it's unfortunate because you have these countries like I don't know who it was exactly, but you have these poor countries. They're not government funded or they don't have sponsors or whatever. They they get this invite to go to World Skills. They train for a couple weeks and then they show up and then
Yeah.
they compete against like China, Korea, the U.S., like Canada, Australia, like all them, and like there was about let's see, me, it was Korea, China, the U.S., Brazil, Canada. Like we were all there's about 5 or 6 of us that all our projects almost looked the same, man. Like they were
Yeah.
so high up there, and you could see how much time. I mean, you could just tell by the way our stuff looked how much time we've been putting into it. And then you had a lot of other people that like they did good and they probably scored good, but it wasn't like there's just like an extra couple of. It's weird because as you're going into your training, you think you're doing really good when you're down here and you're scoring high, but after so many months of training, your stuff looks absolutely insane, and you're like scoring stuff, and I don't know, it's just unreal.
I bet it's those
How
small
much?
details that just the average welder would not be able to see. And like you said, the further you get along, the more you realize, like, wow, I was missing it, 2 weeks ago, but now, my fine details are really coming around. So, I mean, I'm telling you, I would love to see it in person because I bet I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between first and third place. I guarantee it, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to. I
No.
helped judge one. It was an FFA welding competition at the college I was at. Fucking John, our professor, he wrote me into it. He said, "You're going to come in and judge these." I was like, "Great." There were some of them, and granted, this is just FFA. There were some of them even. It was just like, how do I judge this one way or another? They look exactly the same. I can't imagine judging it on a world level. I mean, a world skill level. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. But basically, it's all about the scoring system. So they keep your how good the weld looks basically out of the equation. Like it's all about scoring criteria.
Really? Okay, so they keep. Okay, I got you. That makes sense.
Have you
But yeah,
stayed in
like
touch with any of the other competitors like that you got close with?
a little bit. I've been so busy. I've barely answered my emails or my texts. I'm barely like I'm if you ask Chandler and all them, like I'm or ask the guys I work with, like I'm hardly ever on my phone. I don't if they ever call me unless I like for instance yesterday I was inside of a big old semi tank doing some aluminum repair or whatever. Like, I had to climb down inside of the, I don't know, they're not belly dumps. They're a big sand trailer. Anyways, like I had to use my phone a lot to call them because they were just sitting outside of the tank. I'm like, hey, turn my welder up, or hey, turn my welder down, or pass me this, pass me that. Oh, I dropped this, or a freaking push pull gun got plugged up. I need you to help me unplug it. And yeah, no, I've been so freaking busy, man. I've not. I texted the Chinese kid. We were talking right after the World Skills, like right after we got done competing. I was talking to him that night, and then I talked to him for like a week or two later, and then I actually Snapchat the Australian kid a lot. Like we chat a little bit, but
How is he? I
I'd
bet
like to, but
I love Australian friends. I got a couple of friends that have bought some welding goods over in Australia. They're always cool as shit.
dude, the Australians are freaking awesome, man. They're fun to
If there's
learn
one
with.
place I would want to visit, it would be Australia for sure, hands down.
Dude, it was, yeah. It's a different style. Like, okay, I don't know if I should say this on this podcast or not, but it's the style or the women down there. The people in general, they look a little different, but the women are still hot.
Dude, and I heard they have a crazy ratio of like males to females. Like it's nuts over there.
And oh, dude, talk about France, man. Like Lyon and Paris, there's so many hot women walking around, dude. It is.
I'm the
So
third
nice.
best welder in the world, you know. Just look at me. My name's Wyatt. My name's Wyatt Hanson, and I drive a Dodge. I'm the third best welder in the world.
Yeah.
That'll get them. They'll be impressed by that for sure.
True freaking American, yeah. No, I'm tempted to like learn some French and go back over there, just work over there. So hot, dude.
That's awesome. Well, at least there was, you know, an extra perk of traveling around the world, you know.
Yeah, you gotta check out all the chicks.
Yeah. So are we? I mean, I don't know. Cut this out. This is supposed to be on here. Are we allowed to talk about you getting accepted onto the Edge Army yet, or?
I don't exactly know. I've
I
been
got
talking
you.
to Stacia, and she asked for a picture of me with you guys, but I didn't ever get one. I was, and I'm not good with the social media stuff yet, and so I sent her back a text saying I don't have a picture, and then I haven't heard anything since.
I got
Well,
you.
I hope so because I'm gonna launch it. Wyatt's on the Edge Army. No, I'm kidding. It was in the
Congratulations,
description.
Wyatt.
It was in the description of my Instagram post. I put like at the very bottom, congratulations on joining the Edge Army, Wyatt, and I tagged you. But you changed your username like the day after, so now it don't take you to your account because now
Oh,
it's the Welder Wyatt. I can edit it, but yeah, I'm glad you changed your username to that. Hopefully, you get into this social media a little bit more.
yeah. I'm kind of waiting. So I'm waiting for Edge to I'm waiting for that to work out. I'm hopefully waiting for Everlast to see what they say. And then the guy I work, my boss, he owns CRV Welding, which is like a welding fabrication shop. But then he also owns a thing called Welder Made. They supply all the they started supplying the past couple of years all of the state and national projects. So the blueprints, probably like everything, like they're all laser cut out. Super good like little projects to do, and he's where he's a past competitor, he's able to design and make some fun projects. But anyways, I'm gonna be talking to him about trying to work something out with him where I could possibly be an ambassador for him too, so I could have the TIG cups, the machines, and the projects, and then start nailing the social media.
Dude, that would be a good setup, man.
Then you need like filler rod and
I got Lincoln for that.
There you go.
and
Bingo.
abrasives, and then you have like no overhead.
No.
No, that'd be a good idea. Doing those projects and just teaching people, you know, the finer things of welding. I think that would be awesome. It'd be a great insight, honestly, especially coming from someone who's competed on a world level. I mean,
Yeah.
Try to set the bar higher for everybody else and help
Absolutely.
everybody get to that bar.
Well, that's what makes everybody better too. Is when you push them,
Yeah.
when you compete, when you talk a little shit. That's what makes everybody want to be better. I always thought welding competitions was the best way to get better. Because I only did one, maybe two, and it was the most fun I had ever had. And it pissed me off so much seeing how far behind I was from everybody else. It just made me want to get better. So
Yeah.
I think they're great. I wish we did more of them.
I think it's in school competition, like not a competition itself, but wanting to be better than that guy next to you.
Mhm.
Like I was just talking about Braden Weller.
Mhm.
Man, me and him like went at each other's throats for like 2 years, and then we hadn't even met each other. It was other students because he was an afternoon student and I was a morning student. It was other students telling like me, "Oh, Braden said this about you and your welds," and that like there was like 2 years of animosity, and then we actually met, and it was like, "Oh, dude, this guy ain't bad." But I think that's like probably what made me grow the most as a welder. I think,
Yeah. The
but
competition's good, no doubt about it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, life-changing experience to say the least.
And you were talking about welder made. Like I've actually bought welder made kits and practiced on them for skills myself. That was like that was such a smart play of him to start that company. And now that he's in
Yeah,
with skills like at the state and national level, yeah, that's pretty smart.
yeah, he's got it going pretty good. But his biggest, the goal is to really give the kids the opportunity when he competed. Oh, let's see, 20. It was from 2015 and down. Basically, they had like plasma cut parts, or they had like hand cut parts out of a freaking piranha. Just nothing was ever really precise, and you could end up with messed up pieces, and you could lose the competition because you had poor fit up, but your parts weren't cut correctly, or the joint wasn't correct or whatever. So when he competed at state and nationals, and then world skills and doing all that stuff, I think at world skills they probably had laser cut or water jet cut parts at that point. But he saw that need for like precision stuff going on, and so and then where he's in. And what's cool about it too is I believe, and I don't really know the numbers or the statistics or whatever, but I believe he actually sells the projects to. I'm not sure about state, but I know at nationals he gives the committee that runs nationals a super good deal. Like he doesn't. I don't even think he makes like hardly any money besides to pay his employees. Um, like no money to like supply all those projects to him. So it's not really. He makes a lot, I think, for the training. So like if a kid is like in state or like competing for the state or the national competition, I think the schools that's where he does pretty good, I believe, is when they're training. Um, but no, he's got it super set up super good where he's should be doing pretty good, and then all the state and nationals, it's a lot more fair and it's a lot better of a competition that way.
What
Which I don't know how much
say
I have to say about that, but
say you win nationals, what what do you get? What is offered to you right away?
um, so okay, keep you honest. um, so I won a Lincoln 210 MP. I won it was a Miller version. I think it was a 200 or 210, or I don't remember what it was called. And then I won gloves, just a bunch of like little odds and ends and stuff. I'm trying to remember what else I won. I know the college kids that didn't get as much as the high school kids. Um, I believe the kid that won against, or the one the year that I won, I think he got some scholarships and stuff. Um, but the biggest thing that you win, the biggest thing you gain from a welding competition is the knowledge, and that's what a lot of people they struggle with. Um, when they're doing these competitions is they want to be the best. They want to have this. They want to have that like status, or that they want to be like King Dickhead or whatever. Like, there's no point in that. Like, everybody is jealous of you. Everybody like, oh, he's so good, blah blah blah. And, like, he should have to work harder and all that, even though you're already working hard. Like, it was really interesting when I got in and I was competing or whatever, and I started getting like successful in my competition career or whatever. Like, people started, they wouldn't, like, I would tell them. I remember going down to college and telling kids like what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to compete at the world level. They thought I was full of crap. Like, they straight up like, this kid's like stupid or whatever. He's insane. And then I started welding in class. Started compete like not really competing against them, but they started seeing my work. They're like, oh my gosh, like, this kid's not joking. But then they start showing jealousy, and then it's a whole nother rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
like, the biggest reason I did it for was literally the knowledge. Like, you have 7 days a week, 8 in the morning till 10 or 11 at night for a whole entire year. Like, almost like, I had to, like, some out of pocket costs or whatever. But that is the best way. You have all the best people from all around the United States are training you. You have all this, your sponsors, like, everything. You have the best situation to learn how to weld. And that's what I was there for. Like, this whole status thing, like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. It's cool to meet people. Everybody comes up, oh my gosh, it's Wyatt, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I'm just a welder. Like, I'm a normal human being.
What's the best piece of advice that you received or learned yourself that you could pass down to somebody, maybe a student listening to this podcast?
Oh man, there's so many different things I could say right now. But for a young student, I would say hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. That's one of them. And then, like, always don't, like, sacrifice a couple years of your time now to better your life for the next 30 or 40 years, instead of partying now and suffering the next 30 or 40 years just because you decided to party. And then you're stuck doing a 9 to 5 and you don't have enough money to go back to school or whatever. Take the opportunities now because they're available to you now, and spend a bunch of time next couple of years bettering yourself, and you'll have a way easier life later on.
And here's one question we ask every guest before we end each show. What is your favorite genre of music to listen to while you work or weld?
Depends on the day, in the mood. If I'm pissed off, like Suicide Boys. If I'm having a good day, could be like Britney Spears or Taylor Swift or Tate McRae.
Absolutely.
Or if I'm feeling like cowboyish, like, for the day, it'll be, I been listening to a lot of country lately, but I don't quite remember the names of them, but just depends on the day, man.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Wyatt. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As for me, Everlast link in the show notes if you want the upgraded Nova TIG torch and foot pedal package. You order through that link. If you have any questions about any Everlast units, message me on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you find me. Edge Welding Cups, code BrynWelds15, and through the link in the description, get you 15% off. And Andrew?
And if you're looking for any and all custom leatherworks, custom leather welding hoods, head on over to southernleatherworks.net. We sell the best. We sell it for the best price, and always back what we sell. Thank you, Wyatt Hansen, for coming on. Bronze world welder. Kind of still crazy. It was a pleasure meeting you at FabTech, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully next year in Chicago.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.